Welcome once again to the City of Maple Grove Report. I'm Dave Kaiser from CCX Media. Thanks for joining us, along with Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome once again.
Thank you.
We have a February 18th meeting to talk about because of the holiday. The meeting was on a Tuesday, also a work session ahead, and a lot happening in the city. We'll give you that update in just a few minutes, but let's begin with the work session on the 18th. 3 topics. Give us a little recap of what was discussed.
Yeah, so Shane and Danielle Vinup, representing the Maple Grove Performing Arts Center, came in to talk about their concept for building a performing arts center here in Maple Grove. They have been kind of focused on a parcel that's just across from the Hennepin County parking ramp there, the library. The city owns a couple of parcels of land there along Main Street. So they were kind of waiting to see if, the city would get the deal done with Lifetime and how that would all shake out. So they wanted to come now give the council an update about some of the work that they've progressed on in terms of, further understanding, the costs of the project, operating costs, kind of their fundraising efforts that they're going to have to undertake. But they are looking at, the potential for maybe a long-term land lease with the city. And so that was something that was provided, some information was provided to the council about that kind of concept and how that might be structured. So positive feedback from the council here. And so I think we're going to be moving forward to kind of do a memorandum of understanding with them that would maybe be kind of the precursor to a more formal agreement that would allow them to move forward and start to do more fundraising, that type of a thing. So lots of information out there on the website in the agenda packet about what they're proposing to do and maybe some timelines. I know they have, their notion is they need to raise it, at a minimum half of the money before they would start construction. So they think, that could take them anywhere from, 12 to 18 months, maybe 24 months at the the longer time frame. So some time here before, you would see any activity there, of course. But I think this is kind of more the foundational discussions and how that relationship might look with the city. They, they would be responsible for the capital costs of the building and the operating costs of the building. So we'll see where this goes, but I think some good positive feedback from the council on this one.
Very good. More to come on that. Next at the work session.
Hennepin County policy regarding assessing services. So. In this past year, Hennepin County kind of changed their approach to how they deal with assessing services. Prior to 2025, they had contracts with cities and they charged them for those services. The county changed and kind of put those costs on the county levy. So in state law, cities under 30,000, the county can require that they be, that they use the county for assessing services, but cities over 30,000 can have their own assessing office, and we have our own assessing office here in Maple Grove. So there's 3 cities that are above that 30,000 that are now, receiving assessing services, but they're no longer paying the county on a contract, and that's Plymouth, Richfield, and Brooklyn Center. So it has raised a lot of discussion amongst, there's 8 cities that still have their own assessing services, 7 suburbs, good-sized suburbs, plus Minneapolis, which is sort of its own bigger animal. But and so there's been ongoing discussion with the county in terms of, I think there's been a feeling of sort of inequity, like, are we going to be compensated for that work that we're doing?
Right.
Or, is there an interest by the county to bring more cities into the county assessing services? So this was kind of our first, discussion with the council about this, trying to get some direction, as to whether they wish for us to explore going to the county or they wish to stay with having our assessing office here at the city. So more to come here. They requested more information from staff. So we're going to be assembling that additional data and information over the coming weeks. And this will come back to the council at a future date, probably within the next couple months.
Very good. And one final item at the work session. What was the cleanup item?
Yeah, so just some issues around our rental licensing ordinance, wanting to kind of shift some of the responsibilities at the property with regard to waste and recycling services, as well as lawn and snow removal, making that a responsibility of the property owner. Sometimes we have problems when that is made the responsibility of the tenant and the tenant doesn't acquire those services, then we have sort of a challenge in terms of making sure that there's garbage service and that lawn care service, those types of things are occurring at the property. In addition, we're going to be making some tweaks to the crime, what has formerly been known as the crime-free multi-housing ordinance. Some things there about background checks and kind of the relationship to, what the criminal past might be to their success in housing, and then some things, where the police department might have calls to the house, what becomes a strike against a rental license versus what's an issue that's really not related to a crime issue at the property. So those are things that we're going to be tweaking as a result of some recent case law that's out there, that a couple cities have been challenged legally on some of these ordinances, and so we just want to tweak those ordinances to make that language consistent with what we're seeing in the case law.
So there's your recap of the work session on the 18th. Now to the council meeting, about an hour and 20 minutes long. Nothing from consent pulled, so let's move to the open forum. 2 topics discussed there. The first was Garland Commons.
Yeah, so Garland Commons is a new 55-plus affordable senior housing complex. It's kind of just kind of up behind Menards there. You see a lot of development. We call it the Tri-Care area.
Right.
That's kind of the history of it. But yeah, apartment project, and that just recently opened to tenants within the last probably 6 to 9 months. So some current concerns there raised about air quality, and we've certainly had our staff out there to review that, fire department staff, rental inspection folks, and so we think we kind of have our arms around that one, working with the property owners and the property management.
Second item was the sacred settlements.
Yeah.
More people coming to discuss that item.
Yeah, so kind of people from the neighborhood and then people from the church community continue to come to the council meeting. I think just important to note, we don't have an application in front of us. We won't have an application in front of us. This is something that's facilitated in state law due to a state law change in 2024 that really takes the city out of play here. We don't have any process involved with whether the sacred settlement would move forward or not. It's really allowed under state law now. So I think we've just become the venue for folks to express their support or concerns about the development. So we anticipate that may continue, but again, we really won't have anything that comes before the council for them to consider on this topic.
Let's move ahead to public hearings, quite a few on the 18th. The first was a business that is changing ownership and has to go through a process with that.
Yeah, so an old-time favorite here in Maple Grove, Angino's Pizza and Pasta. They are located at 13588 80th Circle North, so just right off of Elm Creek Boulevard. This is an ownership change. I think the previous owners have been there for over 30 years. So we're handing off the business to new owners here. Brian Figgins was a new owner. He also has a restaurant in the South Metro, I think Savage area. So good to have the new owner in there, and congratulations to those folks that are selling the business and moving along. And they state that they want to continue the great tradition of Angino's and keep things kind of the way they are, so we look forward to their new ownership.
Very good. Next public hearing, the street rehab program. This is a continuation, and tell us how this went.
Yeah, so this hearing needed to come back just from the time that we ran the initial bond run for this, for issuing. We issued debt for these projects and then updated that bond run. The interest rate had changed, and so we needed to tweak that in the public hearing notice, because that impacts kind of the interest rate that gets carried through to the property owners or to the residents, and commercial property owners. So needed to continue that hearing. We did have one resident speak there, but any of the objections that were heard at I think the January 21st meeting then carry through and will be collected up with what we heard on the 18th, and so then that wraps that up. So our next piece is finalizing the plans for those projects and getting out to bid, and then we'll start to see construction on these projects over the summer months.
Next item was a railroad crossing replacement in a little hidden part of the city.
Yeah, so this is up kind of in the 89 Jefferson Highway, sort of that industrial area up there, just an old BNSF railroad crossing, and so this is going to get replaced. The businesses that draw access from that railroad, in addition to BNSF, will be paying the cost of that.
Very good. Next was Community Development Block Grant Funds, talking about the allocation for this coming year.
Yeah, so this is kind of our last year of operating under the county's CDBG program as it has been. It'll be changing in 2026 to be more of a consolidated pool. Everybody will compete across the county for CDBG dollars. So consistent use of these dollars in support of our scattered site program, the Hennepin County Home Rehab Program, and then as well as the West Hennepin Area Land Trust. So next year will feel different and look different, where we're going to have to compete amongst the county for these dollars that really we've relied on, for many years to help support these housing programs in Maple Grove, and these are really federal dollars that flow down through the county for distribution. So this will continue on this year as is, and then we'll see how it looks going into 2026 with the changes at the county level.
All right, more discussion next year. To the final public hearing, Territorial Road Bridge, and this has a partnership element to it with Three Rivers.
Yeah, so this is kind of with results of a lot of the development that's occurred up around Territorial Road, and there's an old bridge and some old road right away, that type of thing. So we're doing some cleanup there. Some of that went to Three Rivers Park District to kind of connect to the park connections up there and some of those trail assets. And so this was kind of the last step in the process up there to do a vacation of some of that old right away and that bridge right away.
As we recap the meeting from the 18th, let's move ahead to community and economic development items. And first was Boston Scientific Building 4. Give us a little recap of what this discussion was and a reminder about how this has moved along.
Yeah, so Boston Scientific continues to expand at their Weaver Lake campus. So this is building number 4. They have 2 more phases to build, and it kind of moves west out from the existing building into the parking lot area there. Very nice architecture, a lot of landscape improvements, those types of things. They did hold a neighborhood open house earlier in this process to bring in the neighborhood to kind of see the plans. So this one's moving forward. Some updates from them. They're going to start transitioning staff to the Arbor Lakes campus September of this year. Wow. And so that project is moving along there out on 694. And then kind of a process of moving staff. There are about 1,400 staff will transition to that Arbor Lakes campus through Q1 of 2026. So they're moving some lab space over to the Arbor Lakes campus, and then this building expansion 4 over at the Weaver Lake campus will be more production oriented. So we'll actually kind of reduce some of the employee count at Weaver Lake, and some of it, more of it will be shift work, and so that allows us the opportunity to work with Boston Scientific to kind of, those start times and things to make sure the traffic flow can work a little bit better. So
very good.
Just continue to be appreciative of Boston Scientific's continued investment here in Maple Grove and 2 different campuses now.
Very good. To wrap up the meeting on the 18th, let's go to department reports. First from Community and Economic Development. They talked about the next Planning Commission meeting coming up on February 24th, and a topic that has been there a few times is coming back.
Yeah, so this is the development up in the northwest quadrant of the city, Bella Woods. This has been in front of the council before with a project that was primarily kind of along the 101st corridor just east of County Road 101, and then another little pocket up closer to the temple. Lennar has now secured options on property to the north up there, so it involves quite a bit more acreage in this development. 270 units all in, single family homes. So really kind of takes a good swath of land up there for development that we continue to see march forward. So that'll be in front of the council on February 24th for concept. So that really sets kind of the land use, the transportation corridors where we anticipate access up there. A lot of things to be worked out with. We have future corridors planned for where 101st will kind of align with Stieg Road on the west side of 101, so getting that road realigned, and then the extension of Arbor Ridge Parkway across the north side and connecting up with 101st, and we of course want to align those things with what Corcoran's doing on the west side. So this is a big deal. A lot of road corridors to be set, infrastructure to be extended, but this is concept, so it really kind of lays out how that's all going to work up there together in terms of land use, transportation, transportation and infrastructure.
Very good. We'll follow that as it does move to the council. Engineering Public Works, one quick update, looking for residents or others to get involved in the committee.
Yeah, so we have a new Transit and Mobility Committee. This is sort of the reworking of the Transit Commission, so we're expanding this to really look at not only our transit offerings, but also, bike ped, those types of things about how people get around town. So we have some new dollars available to us from the state for active transportation, and so this committee would be kind of weighing in on the direction of those dollars and as well as our transit services. So looking forward to getting some new folks situated on that Transit and Mobility Committee.
And finally, your update on administration, legislative talk, and also banquet talk. Tell us about those.
Yeah, so we've had 2 hearings now at the Senate.
Okay.
One of them on our tax increment financing timeline extension out in the gravel mining area, as well as a sales tax exemption on the community center project. So both of those were heard in the Senate. So we've kind of marked those off. We do have 4 bills that we're proposing for the city of Maple Grove this year. And so we anticipate having 4 hearings on the House side and then another couple hearings on the Senate side likely. So more to come there, but we continue to track that. And now with the House kind of fully in session, we've seen our House bills get dropped, and so that's really good to see, and we'll continue to monitor that going forward. And then, this weekend we've got a kind of an all-city weekend. Friday night we have our Police Department Reserve Dinner, and so that's a lovely opportunity to thank those folks for their service to the community. And then Saturday night is our annual Fire Department Relief Association banquet. So again, another opportunity to thank those folks for their service, and there's recognition for them that evening. So a full city weekend.
Yes, people will be busy. So that's your recap of the meeting on the 18th. We'll give you the next meeting date in just a few minutes, but let's now cover some other things that are happening around the city. And the first is the public's information is needed on something that was a while back.
Yeah, so 22 years ago, which seems remarkable. I think we can all probably remember this day. So Rebecca Nelson was the victim of a fatal hit and run accident over at the community center on February 20th, 2003. We're doing some social media, billboards, those types of things just to raise awareness again as we come around to this anniversary. A reward is being offered for information leading to the persons responsible for Rebecca's death. Anyone with information can call the Maple Grove Police Department or contact Crime Stoppers to remain anonymous. So this is a case that I think haunts many in our police department and her family, and so I think we just every year want to raise awareness, and if there's somebody out there that knows something, encourage them to reach out and help.
Let's talk about the resident guide. It is out, and we want to keep reminding people it is a very valuable source of information.
Yeah, so you should have received a copy mailed to your home for every household and business in the community. We also have extra copies at the Government Center and the Community Center. It's also available on our website in kind of a flip book style, so you can look through the information there.
Let's talk population. Information from the Met Council recently that a lot of cities were looking at, Maple Grove included in that. Give us an overview.
Yeah, there was some coverage by the Star Tribune, so I think even here at CCX, so kind of raised awareness. But so looking at Maple Grove, we are expected to grow to about just over 90,000 people projected by 2050. So that would really be, the full build out of Maple Grove. And we're going to be getting into the comprehensive planning process here. Our comprehensive plan update is going to be due to the Met Council by 2028.
Okay.
So a lot of these projections that are coming out and system statements and those types of things are kind of leading into this comprehensive plan update, because we will be that'll be the 2050 plan. We're currently operating under the 2040 plans. We're always kind of projecting out in 20-year increments, and so we'll be, or actually 30-year increments here. We'll be projecting out to 2050 in that plan. So a lot of growth continued to expect. We're about 85%, developed in Maple Grove, so about another 15% to go. And so folks will start to see some information about that comprehensive planning process here probably in the next year.
All right, keep an eye out for that. Let's talk about Weaver Lake Road improvements, a special meeting coming up.
Yeah, so we have, this has been in front of the council recently, work session, just to update them on kind of what the concepts are. So we are inviting residents to come to an open house on Tuesday, February 25th from 6 to 8 p.m. This is at at the Weaver Lake Elementary School.
Okay.
No formal presentation, so residents can kind of drop in at their convenience. We'll have staff there for them to talk to. Just an opportunity to learn more about the project and then share some feedback about the proposed design.
Very good. Hope you can make that. We wanted to pass along welcome to a few new Planning Commission members.
Yeah, so council did interviews earlier here in February, and so happy to announce the appointment of Alan Pavick and John Bristol to the 2 Planning Commission vacancies. They'll be sworn in next Monday at their first Planning Commission meeting, a big agenda item in front of them, with
Yes.
Bella Woods. So we're always appreciative for those folks that step forward with willingness to serve the community.
We haven't talked about it a whole lot, the Emerald Ash Borer, but it's getting towards spring and a lot of activity going to be happening again. Give us an update on the borer and the work of the city.
Yeah, so we continue to try to get our arms around this issue. Shane DeGroy, our city forester, very active out there in the community.
Right.
You've likely seen a lot of tree removals over the last season. This year will be the year, getting those trees replaced with a more diverse species.
Okay.
So we have a couple trail section at Basswood Park. There'll be some very complex tree removals in that area. And we're going to be doing that kind of late February to mid-March. So the work continues even through the winter. Sometimes it's easier for us to get in there during the winter months and do that. So lots of work scheduled for, we continue to treat some trees, but also doing strategic removals and then trying to come back with a plan for reforestation.
All right, as we end up February here, still time to get out and see a movie around Black History Month. Tell us about the next date.
Yeah, so we have one final movie in the series, The Banker. It'll be shown on Tuesday, February 25th at the Community Center. The show starts at 5 p.m. and it is followed by a group discussion. And that takes place in the Senior Center at the Community Center. There's no fee or registration necessary, just to drop in.
All right, here's an item that due to popular demand, it's going to start early. What is it?
Yeah, the Indoor Farmers Market at the Community Center. So Thursday, February 27th, the market is held inside the Maple Grove Community Center from 3 to 6 p.m. It's a wonderful opportunity to shop local and support our vendors. We usually have about 25 vendors for that indoor market. So the next date, February 27th, and then that's next week, next Thursday. And then other dates, March 13th and the 27th, April 10th and the 24th, and then we'll be back outside in no time up at Church of the Open Door in mid-May.
That sounds good. All right, a couple events to touch on that have occurred. First was Glow in the Snow. Give us a recap there. It was a little chilly.
It was a little chilly. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Good.
So yeah, we did have fun out at Gleason Fields. We had a Glow in the Snow sledding event. Part of that project out there to kind of renew Gleason Fields was to include a pretty significant sledding hill and kind of for the benefit of the neighborhood there. But it can be a little bit of a destination for folks as well. Great sledding hill out there, and so we had Mayor Stephenson, our Park Board Chair, Bill Lewis, Park Board Member Ken Helvey, Council Member Mike Ostaffi out there sledding. There's lots of fun pictures on social media for that. I think they wanted to get out and kick that off. So we did have a number of residents and kids out there sledding, maybe 20, 30. So
fantastic.
Probably would have been better with warmer weather, but we had some hardy Minnesotans get out and enjoy that night.
They were bundled up. Something that you didn't have to get bundled up for was the sauna at Central Park. Give us a recap of that fun event.
Yeah, so I think this was really well received. I think we sold out every session that was available. So it was a wood-fired sauna that you could book for a certain time frame, either individually or kind of group style. And that was on the Central Park property, so we had an outdoor bonfire seating and some lighting there. So probably something we'll be looking at to continue next winter.
All right, a couple items to get you thinking ahead to spring and summer. And the first is the garden plots, the community garden program. And the process is done for the lottery, correct?
Yeah, so the registration lottery is complete for 2025. There was a total of 80 applicants, 55 new and 25 returning applicants. And then the addition of garden space at Lakeview Knolls provided for increased participation there. They have 70 standard garden plats, and those folks that were selected in the lottery will be notified in the coming weeks here. So, and then we waitlist folks that didn't get selected this year for the future. So exciting to see this expansion up at Lakeview Knolls, and then the continuation at Donahue North.
Here's an opportunity that a lot of families take advantage of: online registration and rentals for some neat places throughout the city. How can this benefit residents?
Yeah, so we're going to be getting into the summer months here, so just good to think ahead about graduations, spring get-togethers, and the use of various city facilities for that. The community center offers a variety of spaces to rent, and recently the community center was recognized by the Knot, a national wedding planning service that recognized it as a great venue. Professionals who receive at least 7 reviews and maintain a customer rating of 4.5 out of 5 stars or higher are recognized by the Knot. So that was a good recognition for the community center, beautiful venue for those types of events. And then Town Green Meeting Room is also a great option for small gatherings. And then all the park pavilions are also available for rental on the city website.
Yeah, congratulations to the community center on that recognition. One final note to pass along: an event coming up. It is on March 21st. What's happening in the city?
Yeah, so this is a great event that our Park and Rec team puts on, Rock Your Socks. It's World Down Syndrome Awareness Day, celebrated on Thursday, March 21st, with a free event at the Community Center Gym. All ages are invited to enjoy carnival games and music from 4 to 6:30 p.m. March 21 is symbolic because people with Down syndrome have 3 copies of their 21st chromosome. Brightly colored mismatched socks are worn this day because the chromosomes under a microscope look like a pair of socks. So it's a very fun event that I think has gotten a nice following with people attending. So thanks to the staff for putting that together.
Yeah, I hope you can get out and get involved. And as you see, a lot happening in the city. Let's give you the city's website with more information about all of these events, and also that next council meeting date. That is going to be on Monday, March 3rd, 7:30 at the Government Center. And again, maplegrovemn.gov, the website to find out more. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us on the City of Maple Grove Report.